So the first speaker this evening will actually be Tan Sri Datuk, Dr. Rafia Salim. She's the former director of NAM, Institute for Empowerment of Women, Malaysia. She's the president for Muslim Women's Action Society with almost 3 decades of experience in the academic and human resource fields. Dr. Rafia previously served as Assistant Secretary General for Human Resource Management at the United Nations headquarters in New York and as Vice Chancellor President of University of Malaya. The first woman to be appointed a university president in Malaysia. She needs a hand for that. And she also served as General Manager of Maybank, Assistant Governor of Malaysia's Central Bank, and as a lecturer and Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Malaya. She was awarded the Panglima Sesya Mahkota from His Majesty, and I'm going to have you pronounce His Majesty's name, please, for us, but I'm going to give it a try. The Yang di Pertuan Agong Al-Wathik Bila Tuanku Mitsan Zanal Abin di Nira Al-Markam Sultan Mahu Al-Mukaikai Bila Saha in 2011, and I am so sorry. I tried. So at this time I would like to welcome one of the hosts of this event from the beautiful country of Malaysia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to see there are so many gentlemen at the topic where it says women in leadership. Thank you. As I've always said, women issues is not a women's issues. It's an issue of everyone, men and women. The topic that was given to me was women in leadership towards an ethic of compassion and cooperation, which is actually a huge scope. However, since I have left the non-commercial world, except for my little bit of NGO work with the Muslim Women's Action Group, I am mainly now an independent non-executive director of several multinationals in Malaysia. Therefore, I'm going to slant my talk on this leadership towards more the corporate world leadership. I'm sure the others will be dealing with more the general and the national leaders and all that. Okay, this is a classic leadership. I want to start from here, which is generally about the ability to think analytically, strategically, and creatively. And of course, in the corporate world, it is about the bottom line. Nothing else but the bottom line. Generally, other issues are rarely taken into consideration. Corporate leaders, I'm sure you all are aware, are mainly interested in finance and the financial gains, and generally these are people with finance and accounting background. Therefore, it is always about dollars and cents. However, I was discussing with one of the participants earlier that in Malaysia, though, we have a very strict provision on companies to comply with the requirements of their corporate social responsibility, which means they have to spend X dollars every year towards the development of society. And it's got to be exposed or disclosed in their general, in their report, their annual reports. So all companies in Malaysia comply with that. So I was sharing with a friend just now that I get, therefore, a lot of financial support from companies for my work. Now, the thing is though, is that enough? Will that contribute to sustainability? Now, I want to focus on Malaysia and perhaps this region. Let's just look at it. Palm oil, for example, is one of our highest export products. Now, when we are planting palm oil, do the leaders just look at the dollars and cents, the production, or there are other relating issues that has to be considered? What about the clearance of the land for the planting? What about the usage of fertilizers? What about the labor? So all these other issues are not exactly the dollars and cents. However, they will contribute to the bottom line. They will affect the bottom line because some form of land clearance, for example, costs more money. There's always shortcut to it that costs less. However, what does it do to the environment? So, now do we just cut trees for timber? There are those who say, why is the West trying to impose upon us in the developing world? They have destroyed all their jungles. Why are they telling us not to cut our timber? However, we should learn. Just because the West have made a mistake, we should not go on and make that mistake. We should learn from it. Okay? Do we just go for the cheapest labor cost? What about their welfare? What about the needs of those labor? Now, as an example, in terms of the issues that need to be looked at. Now, in the West, a few years ago, derivatives were issued, were marketed. It was like the shining star of the financial industry. And look at what happened after that. When you issue derivatives without there being any asset backing, the whole bubble burst and the whole world got into trouble. In fact, let me share with you this. We have a joke about this. And what we say is, if Lehman Brothers had been Lehman Sisters, because we women are very scared of taking unnecessary risks. And those derivatives were actually gambling in a way, So that's, well, but anyway, this is why we need to look at the new approach. We need to have value-based leadership. Next, please. We need to look at the softer universal human values. And I tell you, people in the corporate world calls these softer issues. Honestly, I call it fundamental issues. I still cannot get any management gurus to refer it to as fundamental issue. They still refer to it as softer issues. And once you say it's softer issues, it's soft, not important. Now it's about fairness, it's about justice, it's about preserving the environment for the future generations. Okay, can we? Now, before, IQ is the thing that is so important. But IQ is what drives Lehman Brothers. Okay? Whereas we need to balance this IQ with EQ, very much so. Emotion. There is no disgrace in emotion because it includes self-awareness, empathy and humility, teamwork and cooperation. And really, the best blend, whether it's is corporate or non-corporate, is blending analytical ability with emotional strength. And guess what? Women generally are more suited and attracted to this type of thinking, or what the men generally refer to as soft stuff. You know? But we are made of that. Now, compassion, it's about caring and empathy, qualities characteristically associated with women. Now, don't get me wrong. There are men who are very empathetic and very caring. I'm just putting to you the general concept or the general belief that it is the women who are more caring and more empathetic. It's probably because most of us are mothers or caregivers of one kind or another. And if you have this balance between analysis and compassion, next please, then what you get is a lot of cooperation versus competition. Otherwise, it's always competition. One must win and the other one must lose. And that's why we don't have peace in some parts of the world because of this competition. And applies to the corporate too. It's about competition. Whereas, if we have compassion, we have care, whatever we do means we are less stressful. We create a better environment to work in. And when that happens, you get sustainability. And we all know what happened with stress. I just had recently a very young friend, 30 plus, late 30s, had a heart attack. Apparently it's stress of work. You know? Now, cooperation also supports teamwork. You don't get teamwork unless you are willing to cooperate. And I don't have to say anything about teamwork. We all know. All right? We all know that we can only succeed and succeed well and ensure sustainability if there is teamwork. And once you have teamwork, you also encourage creativity. Now, today especially, I didn't have this in my note, but when I woke up early this morning for my subuh prayers, I heard the news about the demise of the greatest man on earth in the last century, I think. You know? I mean, that's a man who actually lived on cooperation. Okay? The way he cooperated with his enemies, the way he brought peace. Okay? That's not a woman, that's a man. Okay? So honestly, compassion, cooperation is not just about women. Okay, that's as I said earlier, men are also that way. It is just because of the general belief. And it's because of this also, it's been found in a whole lot of study by McKinsey, Credit Suisse, and all these people, that having gender diversity in organization is very important. It brings a lot of value. Now, I spent 5.5 years in the United Nations. I have my UN colleague here. He's from Nairobi, but we used to work together. And I tell you, I also had to handle the peacekeepers, because we had, as in human resource, we had to deal with the rules and the supply of manpower and all that. And we used to have a lot of disciplinary problems with the peacekeepers, all sorts. After I left, there was a change of mindset. They brought women into the peacekeeping force. And I was told by UNDP that there's a lot less problem now that the women are there. It's value added, definitely value added when women are there. Next, please. Okay. Therefore, we need to integrate compassion and cooperation. We need to bring in the feminine wisdom into leadership to ensure sustainability. Conclusion, great leadership begins with being a whole human being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I liked her closing statement. Great leadership begins with being a whole human being. And she's talking again about not just IQ, meaning what is your intelligence quotient, but what is your emotional quotient? How much compassion do you have? And I also agree totally that it's not just a woman's quality. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm a mother of 2 boys and 2 girls, and I can tell you that one of my boys is actually the most compassionate of any one of my children. So thank you very much for that.